All right, well, this is Aaron here in the Bowtie Treasure Studio. I think I'm a little early, but I need to check my settings here, make sure that I've got everything right. And I have a feeling my camera's right, but my mic's not. So see if I can adjust that. Not sure that I can. Let's see here. Even my camera's not the right one. How about that? Let me see here. Not sure there's much I can do. I hit live hoping that I can make some changes once I started, but All right, well, this may be what we get, right? And as you're popping in, say hi. I'm a little early because I thought I was going to be able to adjust some settings. And that's not really an option. So I even have a lapel mic, but I think it's coming off of my computer. So if you can hear me okay, let me know. And I'll try and work around that as much as I can. But I think this mic I have is a little bit useless, but I'm going to try something else. So give me 1 second. Let me just kind of get everything moving in the same direction here as I pivot to adjust around my live here on YouTube. And that would be great. So I'm going to do that right there. And I'm going to check that. All right. Very cool. Well, hope you're doing well tonight. And I've got a pretty simple live tonight. And I always seem to invent interesting technical issues. But again, if you can hear me, you can see me, we're going to make it work. I pretty much am live here with my my laptop sound and mic, which is definitely not my desired way to go, but we're going to roll with it. So let me just move a few things around. And I think it's going to be a quick one tonight, but I definitely want to feature two things. One, Dixie Belle's not so new anymore, but it's their ancient Marrakesh decoupage paper. I've already painted this table. It was green. I painted it, if you remember my lives with Teresa Lee on our crazy brush show. And I painted it green and did some hand painting with some gold. And it just didn't go with the decor where it's at. And I might sell it, who knows? But I thought it'd be a good project for us tonight. So if I have time, I'm going to put another coat of drop cloth on it. But the technique I want to focus on tonight is the decoupage paper application. There is a shelf. There are two levels, and I want to feature both levels and kind of talk to you how I walk you through how I did that. So I will do my best to make that work. And so this is again, this is going to be fun controlling my camera, and I'll do my best to make this work. I'm going to move it around so I can turn it a little bit more. There we go. Okay, so this is the sheet is pretty big. In fact, it's quite large. And fortunately, for the two levels, and when I say level, I'm talking about down there. For the two levels I'm working on, this is going to work great. In fact, I was able to get both sheets on there. I forgot top coat. Let me grab that. And I'm going to be using Dixie Belle's satin clear top coat. I had to go get that. I forgot about it. So again, sound might be a little distant, but I'll do my best to speak up. I did coat this with Dixie Belle's gray bonding boss. And I did actually one coat of white. And remember, it was green underneath. I forget what color it was. And then I just did one coat with drop cloth. I am going to put 2 coats of drop cloth on the whole piece, but the top, I only did 1 coat because you're not really going to see all that. And even if you did, it's going to add to the kind of distressed nature of this. So that's kind of what we're doing. So again, thanks for popping in tonight and saying hi. If you're joining on Facebook, if not, if you're a YouTube subscriber, you're not following me on YouTube or Facebook, it's Bowtie Treasures on Instagram, Facebook. I think also TikTok. So you check me over there. All right, so we need to put some top coat on here, and we're going to mist the back of this, and we're going to slowly apply this without hopefully too many complications. Now, one of the advantages of this particular decoupage paper is that it already has somewhat of a distressed look. So if it's not perfect, it's not the end of the world, and we'll be okay. So I'm going to use here, I think I'm going to use a foam applicator. And let me just get the right one, and we will make that work. Dixie Belle sells these foam applicators, and this, I believe, is the 3-inch. They have a 2.5, and a 1-inch, something like that. They have 3 different sizes that you can get. But this allows me to get in right into the container and then apply it. I wouldn't work super slow on this.
Actually, mine.
Yeah, I think so. On YouTube?
Oh, you didn't know.
Yeah. My wife's just making sure I was live. She's my backup for technical and all that. So, yeah. I alternate my lives between Facebook and YouTube just to hit both my audiences, and YouTube likes it, Facebook likes it. So last week we were on Facebook, so if you're on YouTube and you missed my live last week, I do have that video on YouTube now where we painted the half moon table set. All right, so I'm trying to keep moving quickly. As soon as you put this down, of course, it wants to start drying like anything else. And we'll just put a light application, light meaning it's not crazy. And I'm going to put this brush in my bucket and let that soak up. The next thing I'm going to do is get my misting bottle, and I'm going to mist the back of this piece of paper. That's just going to help give it a little bit of movement. And, you could try and get the wrinkles out, but it just makes it a little bit more pliable and almost like, I don't know how to better describe it, but it's wetter now than what it was. I'm going to put a little bit more on there. It's almost like, any kind of piece of paper that you get wet, it's going to get a little bit of better movement. Okay, so I'm going to actually just lay this on there. I'm at the mercy of the paper, meaning I'm not trying to put this in a certain spot. If I did that, I would not be able to use the sheet of paper, both the top and the bottom. I do want it to be fairly straight. Let's see how that looks. Maybe come my way just a little bit. Now, of course, every time I do this, I am touching the top coat. I'm looking mainly for my paper to overhang off the edge. Now, you may watch a few people use things like plastic you don't want to scratch the paper, so I would watch out for anything that's a hard surface like hard plastic or anything that's sharp. And you're not trying to distress this paper, so use something that will help your hands smooth it out. So this is, what is it, plastic wrap, plastic clean, whatever the generic version is. And you can see that I'm lifting slightly just to make sure, and I'm working from the middle out. If you need to, keep that top coat near and apply a little bit, especially under the corners. But right now, I'm just looking for little wrinkles. But this decoupage paper is already distressed looking, so if I miss a spot, it's not the end of the world, but you don't want big wrinkles. It's just going to look like it's not going to be a good result. So just lift it slightly Remember, we missed it already. Put a coat of top coat on it. We will put top coat on top of it, but the top coat's going to be your binder to help it stick to the surface. I'm working fairly quick. Getting a little bit of wrinkles in the corners, but again, right now I'm pretty pleased with it. It's tolerable. And you do want to trim this eventually, and I'm going to recommend that there's two options, but I would recommend having it dry probably is going to give you a crisper trim. So, but you can also use sandpaper. This is one of the newer designs, so I want to say their paper's changed a little bit over time. So I would definitely maybe either do a little practice or watch some other videos other than mine, just to get a collective idea of how to apply it. You might try the Top Drawer RPA, AJ Finch Designs. There's several. You should be able to search Dixie Belle's video, YouTube, and library for other people doing this. But this worked out really well. You will see fibers in the paper, and those fibers are there to help give some strength to the paper, so don't worry about those fibers. So again, I'm not going to stress over tiny hairline wrinkles. That's going to happen. One, because it's a human applying flawed, to a flawed surface. And but that looks pretty good. Now, when I said sandpaper, just going down the edge with the sandpaper would work, but I'm probably going to find that I need to, in fact, let's do that. Let me get a smaller brush. I'm going to put a little bit more top coat to the edge. And just make sure that we get a nice adherence or whatever. Think of the word there. And I sure hope, yeah, I did. I barely got that on there right. But we're just going to put a little bit more top coat on the edge. That's the least one place for sure you don't want the paper to come up. So we'll just kind of double check that. It's okay if you get a little top coat on your paint. I'm going to put another coat on there anyway, so that's okay. Whoever's in the house, hope good to see you. Thanks for watching tonight. There we go. It's really not difficult. Most of the time you may find yourself working on smaller decoupage projects than this, but I like the large. I needed a decoupage paper that can cover 20.5 inches. That's the square size of my project. So, and this transfer did a good job. And I like the colors because it's more of a neutral tone, or before it was had a really bright green. All right, I'm going to get one more of those foam brushes because I stuck that in the water. Didn't have to, but I did. And we're going to put a top coat on it, and we will be done with the top. If you really want this super durable, I would aim for at least 2 coats. You might even consider, after this dries, using gator hide instead of just normal satin top coat. But I usually put top coat down before a gator hide anyway. So just keep that in mind. Depends on really how durable you want it. Like if you're going to put a plant on this and other things that might scuff this up, at least 2 coats of top coat. I would definitely recommend a gator hide or tough coat or something that's really durable after you put this satin top coat on. But use your regular top coat first, and I think you'll find that you'll be happier with the finish. Not that you can't start with gator hide, but all right. Don't want to scrape all that top coat off, but we'll let that dry. And I'm going to keep this foam brush handy as we do the bottom. Now, what I'm going to do is put this table back on my Lazy Susan and make a little noise and bring this Lazy Susan closer. This is going to be the fun part. Actually, that's not going to work because I want you to see the top of that shelf. So I'm going to put it on the floor and just turn my camera down, and hopefully you'll be able to see it so much. So we're going to be working down there, but let me just show you a little bit of what I did. First thing I did was I took 3 sheets of white typing paper. Typing paper is probably the one who types anymore. And I cut out the template shape of that shape down there so that I could try and get this, make sure one, this was going to fit, but 2, I don't really want to be super cutting down there when I can just get my transfer or my decoupage paper cut. So I've used painter's tape to tape it together and to tape it to my decoupage paper. So I want to cut this out before I apply it. So I saved that technique or step for us today to do. So give me a moment and join me as I crazily cut this out. I did tape it. The only reason I taped this paper was so it wouldn't move around on me while I'm cutting this out. You do not have to do this. I need to do a better job than that. I'm moving too quickly. I need a nice clean cut. I don't really want to have to refine this paper once I get it down there. If I have to, I could put some paint over the decoupage paper. But because it's going to be an exact cut, I need these cuts to be cleaner, and I wasn't doing a good job of doing that. So let me clean that up a little bit. Just optional what I'm doing, but to me it made sense because of the weird shape that it is to go ahead and cut the shape out now. Will I regret it later? We are going to find out together, right? I could have done that with the top as well. Don't get me wrong. I could have done it there, but it's a much bigger space, and I figured it was going to be better to have wiggle room than to have a precise cut. So this one down below is going to be more precise. I did find out after doing my template that there's only 1 or 2 directions that this can go for it to be right, meaning when I put it on one way, it didn't fit at all. So I do need to make sure I get it going in the right direction. Better the scissors, the better the cut, obviously. You could use an X-Acto knife if you're careful and you think you can handle that part. But the scissors working great for me. All right, I'm just going to make a change here to the setting on my camera. There we go. Okay, so now let's take the, well, I shouldn't have to take the tape off. It should just come out. But you can see what I did for my template earlier. And I just, basically once I laid that down there, I just rubbed my paper to create the edge to know where to cut. So let's see how accurate this is. So this way doesn't fit right, so we'll go this way. And that fits much better. So I don't know, that seemed to make sense to me, better to have that, that cut out like that. So I thought, let's go with it. And that's what we're doing. Okay, so let's get this, go through the same process we did on the top. So we're going to first, I am going to first smooth this out, just make sure there's no bumps. It shouldn't be very dusty, but you can wipe it off with a rag if you want to. And we're going to use this foam brush again. to apply the satin top coat. And again, I apologize for the technical difficulties tonight. But last time I stopped my YouTube live to fix any technical problems, I lost my live link and everything. So we're just going to run with it tonight. Just hanging out with you guys, working on a project. We'll not consider this one of those polished, crazy nice videos, but hopefully there's some helpful techniques for you in it nonetheless. Okay. Of course, I turned this thing, so now I'm kind of lost as to where I went. Let's mist the back of this sheet. Get this nice and wet. Wet may be the wrong word. I tried to get this diamond in the center. It's going to be a little off center, but that's okay. I have a feeling I need to go the other way. Do my best not to get in y'all's way here. Again, now that it's wet, make sure I go in the right direction. So all these inside cuts I did not want to do after the paper was on. That's really what we're trying to do here now. So I'm going to go from one end to the other. Getting the paper wet does give it a little bit more flexibility and stretchability. All right. I'm really praying this technique works. If not, we are in trouble. I may have some slight overhang on some areas, but I'd rather have that to be short. Just checking general fit. All right, it's a little extra down here, but I think I can live with that. We're going to use our plastic wrap again. I'm going to work out from the middle out. That top coat should still be wet enough to allow me to do this. The light's not as good down here right now, so I'll have to move it around. But fortunately, from what I can tell, most everything is spot on. Move the light so I can see. The smaller is better. Now it's a little short over here. Trying to get so you guys can see. I wonder if I can lift and pull this a little bit. It's not perfect. It's all right. All right, so this is where I'm going to get that foam brush. You can kind of feel sometimes when the paper lifts up really easily that maybe you didn't get enough top coat there. So now's a good time to apply that. Make sure it sticks really good. So just kind of check some of your areas. I'm not worried if I get top coat on my paint. I'm going to put another coat on there. Now, I was hoping to put another coat of top coat on it tonight, but we may just stop it at this because I do have some top coat where I don't want it. All right, so I do need to trim some of this. Like this edge right here is a little long, but I'm very happy that I did the pre-cut because now I don't have to do a lot of work to clean this up. So that's our project for tonight. I think this is going to work out really well. It's still a little wet. So as I mentioned before, it's going to be easier for me to trim off this edge. And let me get a piece of sandpaper and just kind of demonstrate. So this is a piece of sandpaper here. This is 80 grit. And what I mean by using sandpaper instead of a knife is simply just going down the paper, usually at a slight angle. And you can try 220 or different grits. And basically you're just ripping the paper. And it just keep in mind you are ripping the paper, you are distressing your finish. But what you're going to probably find is that you're going to run into fibers. There's fibers in there, and they don't normally like. They're really strong, so they're not as good. They don't give in to the sandpaper as easily, is what I'm trying to say. You can already see that I've distressed this edge, and I'm going to have to repaint it anyway, but I would rather come back with a nice, so this is a brand new X-Acto knife blade. You could also use a retractable knife, and the idea is that I'm just going to run it along this edge. And but I would rather do it with a really sharp, brand new X-Acto knife blade. And I don't need it to dry to do that, but the goal here is to get a nice, clean, straight edge. So run your blade along the edge. This is working really good. It's because it's a brand new blade. And then, of course, as I get to where I sanded a while ago, it's like, what did you do here? So that did pretty good. There are some areas to clean up. The nicer your blade, smoother your hand, all those things will affect the result. The other option you can do is, instead of cutting on the outside, if you can know where the edge is, you could cut on top and cut a shorter cut and cut a longer cut. It just depends on what you want to do. I think either way, you just got to find where to work with your hand, if you're steady, or with your tools, whatever you might have. What I mean a while ago is, I don't know if I can get to it. Give me 1 second. What I'm talking about is a straight edge, and then put the straight edge literally like right on the edge. My top coat's still a little wet, so it may not be a good time to do it. But you could run your knife on the top instead of down the side. I wouldn't do this unless I had a brand new blade. So that's another way of doing it. Third, as I mentioned before, is make sure you is waiting until everything's dry. And then things are crisp and clean. You can see I'm peeling off a little bit of that extra. I'm peeling off that hairline of a trim I just did. Okay, and if you have to, it's not the end of the world if you have to come back in with a small brush and put some top coat in where you need it to. So yeah, that's a little bit of what I'll be doing, cleaning things up, especially even down below. But yeah, hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea how to apply Dixie Belle's. They call it premium decoupage rice paper. And again, this is the ancient Marrakesh design. I love the size. It's 22.83 by 33.3. So it gives you a lot of space, especially for the front of your project. But I think we'll leave it there. Next time you see this, I'll try and stage it, of course. And if I can, I'll find what it used to look like and make sure you can see that as well. But don't forget the steps is get your paper close to the right size. I wouldn't have a lot of extra paper flopping around. Then make sure your top is prepped. Usually these are somewhat transparent from the standpoint that I use a color that goes with the light colors of the paper. Then put your top coat on, mist the back of your paper, slowly apply it on there. I use plastic wrap wherever it went. And that helped me just smooth it out without roughing it up. And then put top coat over the top of that. I'll let that dry, trim the edge, and put some more top coat on to make it more durable as well. All right, like I said, short and sweet tonight. I'm not going to do the second coat of paint. That's pretty basic, and since things are drying, we'll let that run its course. All right, I'm Aaron here in the Bowtie Treasure Studio. Thanks so much for watching. And until next time, probably on Facebook. I'll see y'all later. Y'all take care.